Now, today's video is going to be pretty different from my usual ones. I want to discuss the very basics of how TradingView actually works. This is something a lot of people don't have an idea about, and I just thought I'll give you 2 cents of what I think it works like, what are the drawing tools that I use, what are the indicators that I think are important, and we're going to get through each of these features one by one. So follow along to really know what TradingView looks like. If you go to tradingview.com, basically this is what's going to open up. Look first, then leap, which is actually quite appropriate. You want to research your trades properly and then commit to them. You can get started on top right out here. You want to open your account and you can use the free version as well. But first of all, we're going to jump right into it and search the markets here. This is where you can search your symbols. One thing I've searched is Policy Bazaar, which is PB Fintech. So let's jump right into it and launch the chart. Once you launch the chart, something like this is going to open up. You have some pre-registered watch list already there. You have some indices, you have some stocks, and you have futures. This is something we'll get back to, but this is what you see. These are candlesticks. I'm not going to get into what a candlestick is, but we're here to get into the features of TradingView. Very quickly, I'm going to make this screen darker because that means less strain for the eyes. 3 horizontal lines on the top left. You're going to click on that and then go to dark mode. We're going to switch this baby on, and here we are. And there we are. We have a very neat and clean chart, which is going to be very effective if we want to trade. First of all, you have these candlesticks, which are going to tell you what the price is moving like. And down here, you have the volume bars, which are very important. This on the left is the drawing panel, which becomes very important if you want to draw your trend lines, etc. On top here, you have the symbol search. Then you have your time frames. Then you have the candles or the lines or the Heikinashi. Then you have the indicators, alerts, and replays. All of these things are very important. All of these are very interesting, and we're going to get through each one of them. Out here, naturally, you have your watch list. You can create multiple watch lists, and then you have your alerts and so on. And finally, down here, something very important, you have your screener, which becomes very important if you want to screen your stocks. Down here, of course, you have the timeline, whatever time is that the chart corresponds to. On the right here, on the y-axis, you have your price. And out here, you have the calendar where you can see what really is going on a particular date. So if you just go back in time, you can really just pick 1st March, and then it's going to take you to the price of 1st March. But that said, we are moving ahead of ourselves. We'll start with the very basics. Let's get back to the present scenario. This is what the stock price looks like on as of today. The first thing, of course, all of us need is a trend line, right? So these are your lines out here. Out of all the lines that have been mentioned, I think the only thing that is important is a trend line. So we're going to star it, which means this is one of your favorite drawing tools. And this is where it pops up eventually so that you can access it very easily. So you have a trend line here. You have a parallel channel in case you want to mark your flags, etc. I don't think it's pretty important. A trend line works just fine. Pitchforks are, again, useless. Moving on, you have your Fibonacci retracement tools. I don't use Fib retracement at all, but if you want to use your Fib retracement, you go for it. You do what you want, and these are your Gann boxes. Again, something that I don't expose myself to. Outer, you have several patterns, Elliott waves, and cycles. All of this is useless. So from the first 3, of course, panels, only the trend line is important. Then you come to your projections. Now, these become quite important because you can find out how to take, when you take a long position, what your stop loss is going to be, what your stop loss is going to be on a short position, etc., etc. What I really like out here is just the date and price range. So we're going to start it very quickly. We'll come to these eventually. I'll tell you why these are important. But moving on, now we have the brush and the highlighter. Sometimes I like the brush, sometimes I don't. So it really depends. Your arrow markers, again, really depends if you want to use these or not, becomes very important. The rectangle and the rotated rectangle are something that I use all the time, and the rest are pretty useless. So as I mentioned, your favorite bars, your favorite tools are popping up out here. Now this is the text column. We might just add it for easy access for the purposes of this video. And then you have the emojis, which are entirely useless, your measures, your zoom in, all of this is pretty much not important at all. Out here, you can hide your drawings, your indicators, your positions and orders. We'll get to this eventually. And if you want to delete everything, this is the delete column. But moving on, this is a trend line. A trend line naturally helps us a lot because we want to find out what the swing structure is of a particular stock. Trend line helps us understand how the stock is trending. Naturally, out here, the stock is not trending very nicely. This is a clear downtrend, and this can be marked very easily with the help of a trend line where we connect the highs. So as you can see, very simply, the trend line is being touched at all these levels, and you can tell that this trend line, which is descending, which is downward sloping, is acting like a resistance. Of course, it's now nudging me to log in, and now it just doesn't give me an option to do anything. I will have to join for free. So we're going to click on this. I'm going to sign in with Google because I'm already registered, but I'm going to sign in with my account that I haven't taken any premium membership on. So the GP Singularity, which is my father, I run a premium membership on this account for ThatSikhInvestor trades, but for Karangalati, there is absolutely no premium membership. So we're going to quickly click on this. Now, this is a very simple free of cost membership that I have. How can we analyze it? We just click here, current 493, explore all our plans, accounts and billing. Very quickly, we're going to go to this and I'm going to show it to you. Yeah, so my current plan is basic and free. So I'm not using any paid plan for the purposes of this video. Let's go right back to the tutorial. And here we are. We're going to remove all sorts of indicators for now. We're going to get back to them, of course. Let's restart, guys. I hope you haven't lost track of where we were. And here we are at Policy Bazaar. We had started with a trend line. So here we go. We join the highs. And as I mentioned earlier, this is where the stock is taking resistance at this trend line, which is downward sloping. So naturally, as long as this trend line is not breached and it gets breached out here, you can't ever think of initiating a trade. A trend line can also connect the lows. So you want to exercise your creative liberties and just go about it. So this trend line for the longest time told you from 2022 to 2022 November. So from Feb to November, the stock was moving within this channel. As long as it's within this channel, naturally, you can't seem to do anything about it. You have to wait for it to break one side or the other. Also, because it's a free account, they're going to feed you ads all the time. But if you go for premium memberships, of course, the ads get removed. As the stock is breaking out of this base, around the breakout levels and far before it, you see this spike in volume. This is the volume bar. This is one of the most interesting and useful indicators that I would say. And this becomes very important if you want to trade your stocks. As soon as these things start spiking, as soon as the volume bar starts spiking, you want to ask yourself, dude, what's going on? Why are they spiking? So this entire zone where, just a moment, we're going to get back those favorited tools that we had. This entire zone should tell you, dude, what is going on? This is where you've got to get very curious. Like this zone, the price is not only flat, but it's also the volumes are spiking. So you want to get very curious. So with this video, of course, I'm going to show you how TradingView works, but I'm also going to take you to what I really see on the charts. With that said, let's move on. Now the charts are looking very cluttered, aren't they? So I want to remove all of these things. I'm going to go to this little dustbin and just click here and be like, remove trend drawings. Yes, let's get rid of them. And the drawings are all gone. So this is how your trend line becomes very important. So once again, we might just connect all of these and see how things are running. So this is how the trend line gets connected, and it shows you there's a clear uptrend. Now, trend line is either inclining or declining, but of course you need your supports and your resistances. They become very important, and for those purposes, we have something called a rectangle. I like to use a rectangle because supports and resistances are rough zones. They are not precise levels, they are rough zones, and that is why I use a precise rectangle instead of a trend line. instead of a trend line, you can actually use a rotated triangle, which becomes very important. So we're going to go to triangles. We're going to go to rectangles, my bad. We're going to go to rectangles, favorite this one, and straight away, we're going to draw this baby along, and this is how you get a rotated rectangle. So a trend line basically tries to mislead you, but a rotated rectangle will tell you that this zone, this green zone, is acting like a dynamic support, that whenever the stock price comes here, it tends to find some buying interest, and that's how we're going to proceed. So this is your rotated triangle. Like I mentioned, I don't use any of these fib retracements or Gann tools or cycles, but we do use our projections. Let's go to these projections. I want to use the date and price range, which becomes very important. I want to find out how far up the stock has gone up from its breakout. It's gone up about 75% in 250 days. So this becomes very important, this little tool out here, which tells you how far the price has gone up and in how many days. Of course, when we're talking retracements, this also helps. From the height, the stock has retraced about 16%. This tool becomes very important within my trading journey. So with that said, we're done pretty much with this side of things, the drawing panel. And now very quickly, let's come to the symbols. This is of course the symbol. You can pick any stock out here, but there's also another feature where you don't need to go there on the symbol column all the time. You just simply type in the name of a stock. So if I type, for example, any name at all, I'm going to type in Anand Rathi, and automatically the symbol search comes up. Very interesting, right? So you don't need to go to that symbol search all the time. Just randomly start typing in any name, and the name will eventually turn up. Let's go right back to Policy Bazaar for a moment, because that's where we're drawing. After the symbol, of course, you have these time frames. Very important. These time frames are showing up because that's what I've favorited. I like the 5-minute chart, the days I want to intraday trade. I like the 15 minutes. I like the 30 minutes. I do like the 1 hour, 4 hour, 1 day, 1 week, 1 month. You can pick your time frames as per your choice, but these are the ones I like. Now, let's say this is a daily time frame, but you quickly want to switch to a 4-hour time frame. Instead of clicking here and going to 4 hours, I can simply type 240. This gives you a 4-hour time frame. Now I want to jump to an hourly time frame. So I just type 60 and I jump to an hourly time frame. So once the chart looks like this, of course, it's not looking very proper. You right click here and you go to auto. This is where you go, and we have a tiny little chart on the hourly basis. Of course, here we're going to take another rectangle and then mark our rough resistance. So the stock is tending to take resistance here. This becomes very important for intraday traders. This is holding up as a support zone. We do have a nice little support in this area. It's taken a support out here. This was a little shakeout. Then we have another support along this area. And now this is acting like a resistance. So there's not a lot of movement possible. Either it breaks down or it goes up, and whichever way it goes, we're gonna likely trade in that direction. Very simply, none of these stocks, of course, are recommendations. I'm just teaching you how TradingView works. You can favorite whatever time frame works for you. Now we get to the kinds of candles. So you have the line chart, which is simply gives you a line. Very important sometimes to make things easy peasy lemony squeezy. Then you have your candles and your hollow candles. I like the candles a lot naturally. A lot of times these two become important, the Heikinashi and the Renko. Let's just see what they're about, right? So these become very important. Quickly, we're going to go to the daily charts. This is naturally how the candles look. But of course, your Renkos give you a strong idea what the trend is. So when you go to the Renko, clearly this is a massive downtrend, and clearly this is a massive uptrend. So here's where you want to expose yourself. Here's where you want to avoid these. Again, point and figure charts are becoming very important. Let's just remove Heikinashi. That's actually useless. Let's go to point and figure. Point and figure becomes very important on the smaller time frames because it gives you rough areas of support and resistance very easily. Now, Renko, line break, point and figure are powerful tools. Upgrade your plan to unlock intraday intervals. Righty. So on the basic and the essential, these are not part of the really the package. You're going to go to plus. No, thank you for now. And we're just going to have to, of course, show you another time how these charts look. So this is your point and figure. It gives you rough areas of support and resistance very easily. Let's just jump right back to your candlesticks. Out here, we have the indicators, all sorts of indicators. You have like so many of them. Some of the ones that I like are, of course, the moving averages. Very important. These indicators become very important. Let's just go to a moving average. Interesting. Moving average, simple, right? So you want to have a couple of these moving averages, more indicators, more trading possibilities. So the basic plan, of course, gives me 2 indicators, and the essential gives you 5, etc., etc. Eventually, if you're a serious trader, you want to go for the heavier subscriptions. But if you're a beginner, of course, you can just work with these, no problem. So you have the simple moving average. You can give it any sort of setting. This is a 9 moving average. You can give it 50 or you can give it 100. The 50 tends to be beautiful because this is a place of institutional accumulation. If you notice, the 50 is where the stock likes to come. And of course, it likes to bounce from there. I'm going to hide my drawings for a moment. There you go. Whenever it comes close to 50, it tends to bounce. So this is an area of accumulation. The day this stock, of course, goes below 50, things are not looking good at all, my good gentlemen and ladies. After that, of course, you have these indicator templates. If 2 people or 3 people or 4 people are using the same account, you can have these templates set to each person. Alerts become very important. You see, because I'm a busy man and I know you're a busy man. And if the stock goes higher than this level, you want to be alerted on all your platforms, on all your devices. So you just right click and say add alert at 1553. This is how the alert tab looks. So Policy Bazaar, crossing. Ooh, what's happening? So if you say crossing up, so if you just click on crossing up, this is the price and this is the exact price. You can, of course, punch in any price you feel like, create. So you see now the alert has been created out here. Policy Bazaar crossing up 1553, the alert is created, and should it go up, I'm going to be, of course, alerted on all my devices, my iPad, my iPhone, my MacBook, my iMac, or whatever devices you have, whether Android or Apple, you are going to get alerted so that you don't miss a move when it happens. This is your alert. And if you come down here, of course, these are all of your alerts, right? So this is my previous alert because Canes is a stock again that I made a YouTube video on. Pretty interesting. Never could earn a lot out of it, but the stock has moved up tremendously. Moving on, we get to replay. Replay becomes so important. You can replay the bar by bar. So you want to go into the past and find out what really happened. It's very easy to study stocks right now. Oh, in hindsight, I would have bought here, made so much money, but let's just proceed. Because what I was doing in the stock is I was actually watching this tiny resistance, and then it didn't really work out. So I'm going to go to your replay feature and then cut the chart here. Oh, looking beautiful, isn't it? Why is it looking beautiful? Because we have these higher lows. The stock forms this little low, and then it forms this little low, and then this little low. So like, it's very beautiful. I thought this stock is going to give me so much money, and I was going aggressive, but nothing worked according to plan. So we have clear higher lows into, of course, what we have, the resistance. But what really happens after that? And you play it, and the replay tells you what really transpired in reality, and the stock starts tanking. So the breakout, in a sense, failed. So with replay, of course, you can study stocks in real time and find out what really transpired. The replay feature is beautiful. Keep running it on different stocks to find out where you would have entered and where you would have exited. Wonderful stuff. This is the replay feature. We're just going to quit it for now. And finally, we come on the right side of things. Here, you can just take a download image, copy image. You can just take screenshots of your charts if you want to post them elsewhere. This is where you can get different layouts. If you want 4 different charts. So again, oh my God, this is not going to let me do on like a free version. But I'm using the free version because most of you are going to have the free versions. But this is how you can get like several charts on your screen at the same time. And if you have a large screen, some of you have those ultra wide LG screens, of course, this can be a useful feature. Out here, of course, you have your watch list. I had said this watch list called Portfolio created back in the day. You can create new lists. Of course, that's a limit of 1,000 symbols per watch list, but you can create multiple watch lists. And this is where you can add anything into your portfolio. So you can add any stock at all, anything to your watch list. Of course, you can rename your watch list. You can rename it and just call it random ass stocks, like whatever works for you. Right, there we go. All right, now moving on. You have your alerts, and all of this is pretty useless. You have your ideas, your hot list, etc., etc. And you want to, if you think it's interesting, just go for it. But I really don't think it's interesting at all. This is your data window about a particular stock. And this is your chat box. Again, pretty pointless. This is ideas that other people are creating. Again, all of this is quite useless. I don't think you need to go for all of this. Down here is where things get very interesting. This is the screener. Oh, you beauty. The interesting thing about the screener is it's available free of cost in the free plans as well, which I totally dig about this software. Of course, let's stick with the US stocks for now. And let's reset all sort of filters. Now you can work around with these filters. If you want stocks that have been growing up at like a pretty exponential pace, you can go for these filters. But let's stick to one index, and let's stick with the NASDAQ 100, for example. And this is your NASDAQ 100. This gives you 98 symbols out here. You want to go to your chart view, right? Very simply, you want to go to your chart view. And this is what the picture looks like. So a bunch of charts have opened up on your screen. And now you want to get to your area. You want to switch to candles. Woo, so many candlestick charts. I'm loving it. If you go to year to date, this is going to give you the daily time frame. If you go on the yearly time frame, this is going to give you the weekly time frame. Let's go to 1 year. These are all your weekly charts. There you go. There you go. So clearly, if you can see, 3-4 weeks, everything's been tanking. Every stock has been falling. But this gentleman out here, T-Mobile, just an outlier. The market's falling, and dude, you are rising. So clearly, this is something that I want to research properly, isn't it? I mean, if you're like me, you would want to research it as well. So what you're going to do is just open another tab, open TradingView once again, and we're going to look at what T-Mobile is up to. So the ticker name is TMUS. We're going to just click on that and launch chart and see what this gentleman is doing. Whoa, whoa, whoa. The market was tanking and I was a rising. Clearly something beautiful is going on in this gentleman, and we shall find out what. Things are looking good. The structure looks good. We had a tiny resistance here. Then we had a tight area or a consolidation. And this dude has given you neat entry. So of course, T-Mobile is looking very good for a trade. But of course, none of these are recommendations. This is how you have so many charts right in front of you. Another chart, of course, that is looking good is Regeneron Pharmaceuticals. Forgive me if I don't pronounce it right. Let's go to REGN. Look at that. The market's been tanking and I have been rising. I am an outlier. I am a child that wakes up at 5 a.m. in the morning. So, of course, these stocks become very interesting. Intel Corporation, while the name might be popular, but the chart structure is disgusting. I don't care about this stock. We're not going to look at it. So the screener feature, of course, becomes very important. If you go to your Indian stocks, here you have the Nifty 50. I like the Nifty 500. But what I like is I'm going to go to market cap and do ascending. So the smallest of the 500 companies is going to show up, which is Vaibhav Global, and then MTAR Tech, Restaurant Brands, CSB Bank, etc., etc. And we repeat the exercise. We're going to go to candles, we're going to go to weekly charts, and then start with researching all 500 of these stocks. VIP Industries, I'm sorry, brother, you're not looking too good. Prince Pipe, I'm sorry, brother, you don't look too good. Spark, Sun Pharma, Advanced Research, or whatever, you don't look too healthy, my brother. So we're going to avoid that. Gabi and Oika, of course, barking. I think they've spotted a cat. Jubilant Engravia, of course, is outperforming the market and looking very good. I'm just going to take a moment's break here and get Gabi out so that he can bark in peace, and then we'll continue the video. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we very simply have discussed a lot of concepts out here. We have the drawing panel, and we have your time frames and your symbol search, and then you have the charts, the different kind of charts. You have your indicators. The indicators I use are, of course, the volume, the moving average. Another one that I tend to use, thanks to Harman from New Zealand, he's a very generous guy, is Ripster EMA Clouds. And this is how the clouds look. I think Harman has purchased this and made it available to the rest of us mortals. So thank you for that. We are forever grateful. And moving on, you have your alerts and your replays. So we've basically covered all of it. And this just gives you important events that are going to be happening, etc., etc. You don't want to look at all of those. And of course, we've discussed your calendar. So go to range. So if I want to go to a particular date in 2021, so March 2021, what was the price up to, is just going to lead me there. So of course, you can't see here because this was sort of an IPO, but it can take you to several dates and ranges. Okay, so that's it. Very simply, this is TradingView for you. And I hope this has helped you. This has helped you navigate how TradingView works. This is your volume chart. And of course, these are earnings tab. So it gives you when the next earnings are, etc., etc. You can add stocks to your watch list from here, etc., etc. So I hope it really helps you. This is how you can proceed with studying TradingView. If you have any questions, any concerns, any tips, any tricks, mention them in the comments. I'm going to be doing these videos again and again. I'm also deciding to do one video per week where I look at several stocks that are on my watch list, stocks that I'm watching. And if you would like to see more of that, let me know in the comments below. That will tell me that my audience wants to see stocks that I'm watching. We're going to go through several charts and see which ones look interesting and which ones don't. So that's it. I hope this helped you. Now go have a good one and trade stocks profitably. See you later. Don't forget to subscribe.